travel back in time to the 80s, reliving the advice,
Carpe diem. Seize the day.
the comebacks,
Why don't you take a picture? It'll last longer.
and the technology.
Are you telling me that you built a time machine? Out of a DeLorean?
Because just like you, we're stuck in the 80s.
Can you say stuck in the 80s?
Hey, welcome to Stuck in the 80s. It's your host, Steve Spears.
And Brad in L.A.
And today we're going to... Oh, Jesus. Do I have to say it?
Look, you have to say it, Spearsy, if you're going to use the song.
Okay. We're going to cut foot loose and give you some breaking news on the 2019 voyage of the 80s cruise, starring Kenny Loggins.
Now I gotta cut loose, foot loose, kick off the Sunday shoes.
Stuck in the 80s is a member of the CLNS Podcast Network. You can find our podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and the CLNS Media mobile app. And don't forget to listen to our podcast at the CLNS Media website. You can find it at clnsmedia.com. And as always, we plead, we beg, we grovel. Please, if you love our show, share the links on social media.
See, this is our time to dance. It is our way of celebrating life. That's the way it was in the beginning. It's the way it's always been. That's the way it should be now.
This week, Joey Fairchild, or just Joey, as we'll nickname him here for the show, is back on the podcast. As Brad knows, Joey's the production guru and the brainchild of the 80s cruise, and he visits us from time to time to give us news on the upcoming voyages. Well, today, he spills the scoop on a couple performances for the trip in March, and he has some news about the 2020 voyage.
Oh, nice. Sneak preview.
That's the magical part of this part of year. Some people will say it's the brisk wintry weather and the making snow angels, but I say it's groveling for any scoop that I can get on the upcoming 80s cruise.
Table scraps. We're just looking for table scraps.
Right. So Joe and I talked for about 20 minutes the other night. He's going to give you some details on who's performing on Mardi Gras night, who's performing at the pool party in March.
Nice.
He will also give us some scoop about 2020, including we now have the official dates of the cruise. And we now also know the official name of the cruise ship, which will not be one of the celebrity ships that we've enjoyed for the last 3 years. It'll be a brand new ship, and we'll have more on that in a moment. So after Joey talks, we will have the regular seggies. We got some fun letters this week. We've got I Want My Mystery TV theme song. Let's not put it off any longer. Here's Joey and me talking about the 80s cruise. Hey, Joey, welcome back to the podcast.
Hey, Steve. Glad to be back. Good to hear from you.
I hear you just got back from the Star Trek cruise.
I did indeed. It is cruise season, and our first one of the year was Star Trek The Cruise, and it was wild. It was good. It was probably the best Star Trek cruise we've ever had. We really feel good about the season, so if that's any indication, I think all the cruises are just going to be up a level from last year.
Excellent. So I'm curious. I mean, I would imagine that Star Trek, science fiction, you know, science fiction nerds, you know, of which I am proudly among them. I bet trivia is kind of a big thing on that cruise. I know that we did some Star Trek trivia a few years ago during the 80s cruise.
We did, yeah. Information Society did some. They were big Star Trek fans. In fact, they were on the cruise last year. This year, Thomas Dolby was on it. So it's weird how the 80s kind of crosses over because so many of the bands that we have on 80s actually are really into Star Trek or have some sort of science connection. But trivia was huge. We ended up doing so many trivia sessions on Star Trek. They just can't get enough of it because they are so smart. I try to sit down and even just listen to a couple of the questions, and I'm like, yeah, this is beyond me. And I just keep walking. But it's huge. I mean, it's like not to pat you guys on the back too much or put too much pressure on you, but it's huge on the 80s cruise too. And I think we just might have to keep adding more and more. People love it. It's just so much fun, especially when it's in a bar setting.
Yeah, in the Information Society session we had a couple years ago, I held my own. I think of the 4 questions that they asked, I think I got 3 of them right. And the one that I got wrong was so obscure that I kind of throw it out as just being like, nobody was going to get that. So I'm happy with the way I did it. For this year's 80s cruise, I don't think there's any science fiction questions. There's a lot of horror movie type stuff because we have Nightmare on the 80s cruise, but no sci-fi, I don't think.
Yeah, you were telling me some of the themes you got going on and some of the ideas, and I think it's going to be really good.
Yeah, I think we've settled on I think there's Back to the 80s. There's a Be Kind Rewind theme that we're going to trot out. The Nightmare Horror Night, which we're going to call On the Dark Side.
Nice.
And I think for the final session will be called The Final Countdown. So
it's going to be good.
We'll see how that goes.
It's going to be good.
So we're a few weeks away from the 2019 voyage. What insider scoop can you give us on some of the activities you have planned for this year? Some of the newer ones, some things we haven't seen before yet.
Sure. We really feel good about it this year. I really think we, as a team, programmed the cruise better, got a lot of new stuff. Lots more karaoke. We listened to everybody and everybody wanted more karaoke. So lots more karaoke, lots more hosted karaoke. So you're going to see certain artists getting up and involved and kind of hosting those. Little things we're doing, we're adding a projection screen to the dining room. So while people eat, we can kind of do music videos, show sitcoms, certain night, maybe there'll be movies going on. So that's going to change it up. We got some new game shows this year that we're going to bring out. Not really new, but new to this cruise anyway. Old favorites. We're going to try the dating game. We're seeing more and more solo and single travelers. So we figured let's try the dating game this year. Shred That Shirt. We talked about that a little bit before, but that's going to be fun just because it's a goofy, silly event. But everyone's going to be in there decorating their shirt and cutting it up and doing all that. And, Cutting Crew is going to be involved with that because who else would you get?
I didn't even think about that. That's great. What a tie-in. Yeah.
Yeah. Who else would you get to cut up a shirt but then the Cutting Crew? So they'll be involved. Going to try to do a little more contests and stuff this year. We always see so many people decorate their doors so great, and we kind of always give a nod to it. But this year, we're really going to kind of make it into a contest. So bring your A game on your door decorating, everybody. Going to be watching that. What else? Couple of the parties is definitely going to be pretty cool. You were kind of touching base on that. We can talk about that a little bit more if you want, if you get into some of the themes a little bit.
Yeah, here's what I want to know about. This is every time everyone asks me, hey, what are the theme nights this year? I go through them. Some of them, obviously, prom and pop icon always kind of stand out. But there's the two that to me are really unique this year are Mardi Gras. There's a Mardi Gras neon night, right?
Yeah, you got Neon Mardi Gras night because it falls on Fat Tuesday, and that is going to be a big house party. So Grandmaster Flash is going to be the main entertainment for that night's party. We're doing it indoors, so we're really going to ramp up the black light and the glow stuff. And I think that's going to be a surprise kind of a theme night. I think it's one that some people are downplaying or maybe aren't quite into, but I think it's actually going to be visually, musically one of the better parties.
Cool. And then the other one that pops to mind, Top Gun versus Caddyshack. That's how I have it in my head. Is it's sort of like a Kenny Loggins theme night. What do you have planned for that?
Yeah, that's another one where, some people, and here's the funny thing with theme nights, just to back up is like, it's already a themed cruise, right? So we're already going on the 80s cruise. So it's already themed out and everybody's always either way to the max, or they're just chilling in 80s t-shirts or whatever, which is fine. It's totally fine. You can come do whatever you want. And that's what we tell people is just come and have fun. And you're already in the 80s theme. So then these themes are just a little bit more of a suggestion, not a mandatory thing. So yeah, we're doing Top Gun versus Caddyshack. And I think that's going to be another one that, some people are like, I don't know what to wear. I'm not sure what to do. And then I think once we get into it, I think it's going to be a really fun night because we're going to really put the guests against each other at times. We've got some game shows that night. We're going to grab people who are all Top Gun. We're going to grab people who are all Caddyshack. We're going to put them up against each other. We're going to do some stuff even from the karaoke side with that, and just games and things like that. So I think it'll be a neat one. And again, I just want to see Kenny Loggins walk on stage and just not know what to do when he looks out into the audience and sees our crazy fans dressed in two of his biggest movies.
I guess that's something you get to experience every year. You get to be backstage, or you get to bump into these performers after they have been on the ship and maybe done a performance. I mean, do they just kind of freak out afterwards and go, "Oh my God, what kind of insanity have you cooked up here?"
Some of them do. Some of them don't know what to really think. They've all done like 80s events and 80s concert, but nothing is really like the 80s cruise because it is just 24/7 of all this 80s in your face. And some of them, they don't know what to expect. We do it now where we post the theme nights backstage so that everybody knows what they're walking into. Because we did one show, I don't remember what it was, but it was one of the neon nights, and one of the artists came off stage and he was like, I didn't know what was going on. The whole crowd was glowing and had lights everywhere. He's like, I thought it was a sci-fi thing at first, and they just didn't know what to expect. So now we kind of try to clue them in a little bit if they're not paying attention. And then you touch base on it too, is the Nightmare on the 80s cruise. I think that one's going to be really cool. You got Dee Snider hosting the main party. Jesse's Girls performing that night. We're going to do a Thriller flash mob with Michael Knight, who is the guy who does the tribute to Michael Jackson, does a great job. He's going to hold a couple clinics how to do the Thriller dance. So I think it's just going to be a cool night, and we got some surprises up our sleeves. So it should be a good one.
So here's the thing that I think most people are most curious about. This year's trip is being billed as sort of the senior class edition of the 80s cruise because it's the 4th year of the voyage. So what can you tell us today about what's planned for the quote unquote seniors this year?
Yeah, that's the whole senior thing, and sophomore and freshman and all that just kind of happened organically. We did year one and it was just the 80s cruise, and then next year everyone who came back, was like, we're sophomores, we're back. And then they were giving the new people a rough time and saying, you're freshmen. And so, this is year 4. So of course, everyone who's been there from the beginning are seniors. So we definitely have a big senior party planned, like a graduation party, so to speak. It's going to be at the pool. It's going to be a big thing. And we're going to have the English Beat play that party. So that's going to be a great, great, great daytime party out there. They've got some other special events planned just for seniors. I don't know. I don't know how much more I can give away on that because they're going to kind of slowly start letting them know as we get closer.
So here's a question for you. With only a couple weeks left, you've obviously been on these trips a million times. You know the high seas better than any of us. What pro tips would you have on cruise prep for those who are kind of new to the cruise?
Wow, cruise prep. Yeah, I've been on tons of cruises. I don't even know how many now. I've done over 70 charters alone. Tips. Yeah. So, here's a couple good ones for this ship, especially. I always bring a swell bottle. All of our people bring a swell bottle, something great to do. The water is super clean and purified on the ship. So you can go up to the buffets anytime, fill up your bottle, so you don't have to buy bottled water, save money that way. One of a hidden restaurant on this ship that we like to go to a lot is called Sushi on 5. It's one of the specialty restaurants, but it's kind of a hidden little gem. Quiet, it's quick, but you can go in and get sushi. Really important on this cruise. There's so much going on. Read your daily program. Everyone gets a souvenir program, kind of looks at it, but you get a daily program every day and really read that. And don't just concentrate on the main concerts and the main parties, but look at all that other little stuff, because a lot of times that's where some of the magic happens. Like, you don't want to miss the zombie pub crawl. If you've ever done any of the pub crawls with us, they're always fun, and this year it's going to be a zombie pub crawl, so I think you know which night that's going to be on. The silent dance party, if you've never been to one, you got to go to those, and you see all these people wearing headsets. I think you even saw the Cobra Kai karaoke where you get to sing with one of our party bands. I mean, that's a hoot. What are some other things? Cameras. Everyone always has their camera at the main stage, which you're not supposed to take pictures, and we try to enforce it. But if you are even at parties and stuff, leave your flash off, because with the show lighting, with smoke and everything, your pictures will never turn out with the flash on. Plus, we got photographers taking all sorts of pictures, and they're gonna put them on the website for everyone to get for free.
Yeah, I'm always surprised every trip. There's always some event that always catches me off guard. I'm like, well, I'll stop by this thing because I'm kind of curious, but then I end up spending the next 2 hours there because it ends up being just a complete mind blower.
Yeah, those are the events that really are kind of the game changers, and what really makes a cruise special is all those things, This year too, they're getting ready to release them any minute now. We were just waiting on a couple more artists, but we have more artist hosted excursions than we've ever had on any of the cruises. So they're going to release those. Those are always really cool. You want to make sure you for those ahead of time.
Can you give us a hint on what some of those might be? Like, what are some of the events that they're doing?
I know there's someone's doing something with dolphins. There's a couple tastings where you go out and you do especially in Cozumel, they do a lot of stuff with chocolate. There's a Mayan ruins thing. I think Nina Blackwood is doing a really cool Mayan ruins excursion.
Okay, so I've saved the best for last, or what I hope is the best for last, which is kind of hard to say because I don't want to put the cart in front of the horse, but this is the time of year where normally details start to leak out about the next year's cruise. And so I'm kind of wondering, what can you tell us about the 2020 cruise so far?
I knew you were going to go there. You do this every time, and you try to get more and more information. You're killing me. How about this? I'll give you the dates. The dates are going to be March 8th through 14th. How's that? Is that enough info?
No. Well, come on. Yeah.
All right. So
get a little sugar here. Come on.
I'm trying to think what I can tell you without getting in trouble, because you're right. Usually they have kind of leaked it out by now and stuff, but they're really waiting for this big buildup. I'll tell you this. There's a couple new guys involved moving forward with the 80s cruise, and they are working on just a killer lineup. I mean, it's probably the best lineup I've seen for the history of the 80s cruise. We're going to a brand new ship. We're changing ships. We're going to go to a Royal Caribbean ship. I sailed it last year and did a site survey. It's called the Explorer of the Seas. Super cool. There's more venues.
See, we're holding back. I know. You're holding the lead.
See, I'm trying to give you stuff. Yeah, super cool. It's got this. The thing that really sold me for it and why I voted with a big yes was they have this big promenade that goes right through the center of the ship that's covered, so we can have, big street parties and all that. Not every party has to be outside in case there's weather. So it really gives us a lot of options, a lot of bigger venues. So it's going to be really cool. A lot of toys. There's a wave simulator. There's rock climbing wall. There's an ice skating rink. So I thought about that too. It's not roller skating, but hey, we all still did some sort of 80s skate. So maybe a couple nice little 80s skates in the ice skating rink. So it's going to be pretty cool, but I don't know how much. I can't give you any lineup info at all, except that it's going to be big.
It's a larger ship, so it accommodates more passengers, right?
A little bit more, yeah. The main reason that they're going with a larger ship, to be perfectly honest, is they wanted to do more bands. So it is going to have more bands, and we needed more cabins to allow us to do that. And also because it's larger, we don't have to, I don't want to say force, but we can allow the bands to now stay on longer. As it is right now, some of the bands are on half the cruise and then they leave and other bands come because just the amount of cabins we have, where with the larger ship, now the bands can stay because bands are starting to ask to stay as well. They don't want to just come for 3 days. They really want to do the whole thing. So next year, more bands and everyone's going to be out there, pretty much the whole time. So it's going to be a lot more going on. So it's going to be fun. I can't wait till they tell you guys when what the lineup is. And they're still working on it. So maybe
do you know the magical day that we find out the lineup is? Will it happen while we're on the 2019 cruise?
I really don't know. I've been talking to marketing and to the new guys and stuff, and we go back and forth working on stuff, but they really haven't even told me yet when they're going to announce, because they keep saying, we're still working on it. We want to add more. So I thought they were done, but they keep adding to it. So it's going to be cool.
Okay, well, that's good. Hey, they just kind of know we're in cahoots, and they're just not going to tell you because they know you're going to tell me.
That's right. You get it out of me one way or the other.
Fair enough.
Nobody listens to this, right? Nobody's going to know.
Only a few thousand 80s fans, but we'll keep it to ourselves. Well, hey, it's great having you on the show. A few weeks from now, we'll be hanging out together, having some sushi at Sushi on 5, and the first drink will be on me, my friend.
I'm going to hold you to it. I can't wait to see you, Brad, and all the other 80s cruisers. We'll see you soon.
So, Brad, what'd you think of the interview?
Oh, that's fantastic.
Here's the thing I'm surprised about. First of all, I mean, I sort of heard some, rumors that there's going to be a new ship.
Yeah.
But the Explorer of the Seas by Royal Caribbean.
Yeah. Do you know anything about the ship? I'm just like, oh, new boat. Okay, interesting.
Been on it. It's fantastic. It was one of my favorite cruises. I went on it with one of my favorite ex-wives. I can't remember which one.
That's Spearsy's solo country album, One of My Favorite Ex-Wives.
Yeah. It is one of these ships that has... Joey describes it, but it's really hard to picture it until you see it. There's a promenade that goes through the middle of the ship. You know how every ship has sort of like a little, walkway or like a little,
shopping area kind of.
Right. This one, it's almost like a little mini Main Street but it's indoors.
Oh, cool.
And they have got pubs, bakeries and bars and restaurants that line the streets. And then what's kind of cool is if you can book an inside cabin that has a view of Main Street.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool.
So, and I think I had that when I went on it last. The cool thing about this ship is going to be there's an ice skating rink, which is on the bottom floor.
Oh.
And if you go on a regular Royal Caribbean cruise, how it works, and I don't know how to work for this one. I have an idea. You can go down there during the day and you can skate on the ice skating rink. But at night, they put on like this sort of Cirque du Soleil meets Ice Capades show.
Oh, okay.
At night. But I think what they're going to do, I think what they might do is they might try to turn that into a concert venue of some sort.
Oh, that would be fun. That could be really fun, yeah.
So there's that. And but we don't have any idea yet on the artists or the destinations. The destinations is always one of the more interesting things because it's different pretty much every year.
Right.
So, and I like the idea, going back to 2019, I like the idea of English Beat playing the pool party. I think that could be
that's good programming. That's good programming.
So, have you finished all your I have to go into whisper mode here so no one can hear us. Have you finished all your costumes yet, or have you thought them all through yet?
No. I'm so far behind, and I'm getting to the point now where I'm just like doing triage on the theme nights. Like, I'm not doing anything for that one. I'm not doing anything for that one. But I think this weekend, Katie and I are going to go hit some vintage stores and like start taking care of business. It's coming fast.
Yeah.
How about you?
I think I'm going to recycle my Wally World security outfit from 2 years ago for Pop Icon.
Oh, it's so good.
I spent all the time getting all the details right. I want to get full use out of it. And I usually always have plenty of neon around, so that'll suffice for Mardi Gras, unless I want to like invest in a mask. And I could just see like someone getting their eye poked out if I do that.
Yeah.
You can't do it because you wear glasses.
That's true.
So you're kind of...
That's okay.
SOL.
I'm so sad. I'm so sad.
Maybe we can do face painting for you instead. We'll paint on a mask. That'll look cute.
We'll see about that, Mr. Spearsy.
If you aren't already sold on coming with us yet, there's a new promo code right out there that we can talk to you about. The promo code is PARTY, and you can get your spot in an inside cabin for just $1,000, which is a huge savings.
Yeah.
If you want a window, no worries. That's $12.50 and $12.50 exactly. And I don't think I want a room on a cruise ship where the window is just $12.50.
That's kind of sketchy. Yeah.
And there are still some balcony cabins available. I think they're around $2,100. But the promo code is PARTY, and if you book, don't forget to tell them that Stuck in 80 sent you. If you come along with us, you'll see Kenny Loggins perform Footloose, which I am obliged to say so that we can use his song in the podcast. There's Sheila E., OMD, The Fix, English Beat, Cutting Crew, Starship, Grandmaster Flash. Who am I forgetting? It just goes on forever.
Did you mention Berlin? Club Nouveau?
Club Nouveau. See? I know I'm forgetting somebody.
D. Snyder.
Gee, that's the thing about just when you think that, there's too much. There's not enough. But
too much is never enough, Steve.
Right.
Where have I heard that before?
The Pet Shop Boys song. Go to www.the80screws.com. Brad and I will be on the ship with our co-host Jen with one N. We will be hosting Big 80s Trivia for 4 days during the trip. We will be recording our 500th podcast on the ship. And we will be hanging out with you.
We're going to be having a fantastic time. Yes. A fantastic time. It won't be the same without you there, so figure out a way to make it happen.
Stuck in the 80s this week is brought to you by Robinhood, not the movie, the investing app. Robinhood lets you buy and sell stocks, options, cryptos, and more, all commission-free. I have Robinhood on my iPhone, and it helps me manage my portfolio with just a few taps. How many taps, Brad might ask me?
It's a small number.
Just 4 taps, and I can place a trade. Plus, Robinhood sends me custom notifications to clue me in on when it's the right time to make a move, which I could use in my personal life as well. Because you're a listener to Stuck in the 80s, you get a special deal. Robinhood is giving listeners a free stock like Apple, Ford, or Sprint to help build your portfolio. Just sign up at stuck.robinhood.com. That's stuck.robinhood.com. Finally, an app that turns your phone into an investing machine. Now back to the show. Have we given the dates yet for the 2019 cruise? March 2nd through 9th, ship leaves out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, spring break capital of the world. That makes complete sense because this is spring break for adults. It'll be fun. This will be on the Celebrity Infinity, which will be the first time we've been on that ship, but it's a sister ship of the Celebrity ship we've done the last 2 years.
Be just different enough to confuse you.
Just difficult. We're at 3 a.m. You have trouble finding your cabin. But I'd like the idea that Joey mentioned when he said they're going to pay more attention to cabin decorations and cabin door decorations and maybe have some contests associated with that. If they actually do play the dating game on this ship, I'm sort of tempted to participate, but at the same point, Spearsonian rules dictate I do not participate in stuff like that.
Bachelor number 0.
Yeah, exactly. You know what else is a 0 in my books?
Oh, come on.
Oh, I know.
The Seggies.
The Mystic Refrain of Listener mailbag. We got some. We've been holding back for a few weeks. The holidays are around, and we didn't have time to do this, but we got some interesting stories for you this week. So let's start off with Amy from Naperville. Brad, why don't you do the honors?
I believe that's Naperville, Steve, but let's go ahead.
Napper.
Hi, Steve and Brad. It's Amy from Naperville. It's so great to have you guys back on the pod. Wait, did we leave? It's so great to have you guys back. Woot, woot. I found myself dancing more often during your podcasts. I love the incorporation of longer song clips. Second Wind was great fun. Ah, Billy Joel. He was a constant companion during drives to and from Indiana University back in the day. I danced to it yesterday whilst shoveling snow here in the Midwest. Oof. That Matthew Wilder song was my psych-up song in 2011 when I was in PT from an injury. Thanks for the good vibes today. Hopelessly stuck in the 80s, Amy.
Yeah, Amy's talking about our last show. I guess it was episode 491. We did comebacks and fresh starts in the 80s, and we played a lot of Billy Joel.
A lot of song clips. Yeah.
The same Billy Joel song over and over again. But it was worth it for the comments that we've got. For our second letter... Christian in Duluth. We haven't heard from him in a while.
Yeah.
Brad, take it away.
Christian writes, so I'm listening to the latest pod about comebacks in the 80s, and I have to agree and disagree with Steve on this. Like you, Spearsy, I grew up with Roger Moore, and by default, he's my James Bond of choice. If I were to step out of the 80s and look at it more objectively, I would have to disagree with both of you and point out that Pierce Brosnan was probably the best Bond, at least as far as the mental image I have of what Bond is supposed to look and act like. To me, he's also the most relatable actor to play the part. Also, on a related point from last week's podcast, you're not alone, Brad. I didn't own Private Dancer either. Thanks for another great podcast. It was a lot of fun. Signed, Christian in Duluth.
Just because I said I owned it didn't mean I actually owned it, by the way. I'm pretty sure I did not.
That's okay.
So I have been known from time to time when recording a podcast without notes to just insert random, complete, total lies into the show, just in an effort to move the plot along a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I
didn't expect anyone to call me on it.
As far as Christian goes with his Bond selections, hey, GoldenEye is a lot of fun. I think that's a great Bond movie. I don't think Pierce Brosnan is the best Bond, but we can disagree.
No, you got to take a stand, man. Enough of this like milquetoast Brad in 2019.
Okay, was I not clear enough in the last one? Do I need to restate my opinion that I think that?
No.
Okay.
Apparently, 2 weeks and you're back to being 2018 Brad again. That's okay. We'll get through it all together.
Go back and listen to what I said about Daniel Craig, Steve.
You were wrong then.
Get off my back. I'm not wrong. I can't be wrong.
Daniel Craig is the worst Bond of them all. The worst Bond.
No.
His movies are by far the worst Bond movies.
I will say that Spectre did nothing for me.
I couldn't even sit through 5 minutes of that.
Casino Royale is amazing.
There's only one way to settle this. We've got a third letter that cannot be read in its current context. Brad must first tell a story. But first,
I got to give you a little context.
But first, he will apologize for what he said about James Bond.
No, I won't.
Okay, tell the story then.
Not to you, not to anybody. Okay, this weekend I'm at Trader Joe's. I think Trader Joe's is basically a national chain at this point.
We have it.
Grocery.
We have it here.
Anyway.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So it's a grocery chain. Started in Southern California. Anyway, I'm at Trader Joe's. I'm getting my groceries. I'm walking out to the car with my 2 bags of groceries. And I see this car pull in, and I notice a license plate. It's custom plate. And I think it was SVAPRYR. And so I look at it, and I'm like, save a prayer. Interesting. And the woman gets out of the car, and I'm like, yeah, let's find out. So I said to her, excuse me, is your license plate a Duran Duran reference? And she just smiled, just like, yes, it is. And I'm like, no, that's really cool. She's like, oh, thank you for validating my choice. And, she walked into the store and I walked to my car. And I got to the car and I thought, someone with that license plate frame is in our core audience. I really should have said something about the podcast. So I rooted around in my wallet and found one of my Stuck in the 80s business cards and, put on my Stuck in the 80s street team hat. And I walked over to her car and I stuck a business card in her driver's side window. Right?
Yeah.
So I go back to the car and drive home. And on the way home, I'm like, was that the right thing to do? Did I just do something creepy? Like the minute I got home, I was texting Steve and Jen with one N and Gail in DC, just like, did I cross the line here? And it's like, feel like, it's probably okay. I think it's probably okay. And then this letter shows up.
So here's the email. I got it. I got it a couple of days ago. I just read it today. Hello from the 80s girls with the Duran Duran license plate in the Trader's Joe parking lot. I laughed out loud when I found your card in my window. You made my day. And Steve is right about James Bond. Wow.
It does not say that last part.
That's cool. I remember you texting me and I read it a couple times and I was like, well, I don't know. That's like, it can go either way depending on the girl, but it made it sound like they were on our side of the fence. So, well done, my friend. Well done.
Yeah, well, maybe we get one more listener there. One a week. Let's find one new listener a week.
Yes. We love your letters. Send them to podcast@sit80s.com. The mystical refrain that is, I want my mystery TV theme song, which might be the first time I said that right the first time. That's great. I only had to stay up.
Squad goals.
Only had to stay up till 10:45 at night to finally get me to read something correctly. My eyes are all kind of zigging out on me. I think this might be the latest we've ever recorded a podcast. No one cares, but I just want to say that out loud right now. So.
I think when I first came on the show, we were doing them later because we were waiting until I got home from work during the week.
Those are brutal.
There were a couple of those. There were a couple of those. Yeah,
those days are thankfully gone.
We've learned.
Anyway, you know the drill here. We'll play a snippet from a TV theme song. If you get it right, you're entered into the drawing to win a bottle opener, of which I do not have to ask Brad about the quantity. Pay attention. Here's the clip from last time. That's Who's the Boss?
There's a path you take and a path not taken. The choice is up to you, my friend. Nights are long, but you might awaken to a brand new life. Brand new life. A brand new life around the bend.
Daniel Craig is not the boss.
You got to let that go, man.
I don't know. It's 11:45. It might as well be 2:45 in the morning for me right now. My brain's completely shot. Why don't you read some of the wieners?
I was just realizing that Who's the Boss ran for like 8 seasons, 8 full seasons. It's amazing. Good
Tragic.
grief. Okay. Winners this week include Anfield Albert, DJ and Clinton, Rock the Good Ag, Mike LaPena, Matt D in Oregon, Buckeye Girl, Jesse El Gato Grande Smith, Gus from Gainesville, Scott in Southern Ontario, Joe the Wanderer, Dave in Oxford, Dave Estel, Tom Korn in Austria, Jeremy in St. Pete, Just Alex, Canuck in Colorado, Rhoda in Rochester, Dave Augie August, Alan Titus, Callie Wolf, Tim in Toadsuck, and Joseph Purdue.
Brad, why don't you spin that wheel? Let's find out who gets a bottle opener. Looks like it's going to land on Gus from Gainesville. You are this week's winner.
All right.
So send us your postal address, and we will get something out to you. I'm not going to lie to you. It could be a few weeks. Could be after the cruise by the time we get to it.
It's just hard to say.
Brad is super, super busy these days at work.
I got another batch I need to get out the door, but hopefully I'll get them out this week.
Sounds good. In the meantime, pay attention. In a whispery voice, I beg of you.
Here is the next clip.
Here's the next clip. If you know it, email us at podcast@sit80s.com and tune in soon to find out if you're a winner. Hey, that's all we have time for this week. Remember, the promo code for the cruise is PARTY. That is also our mantra during the cruise. So if you have any questions, email us. Brad and I love to talk about it, obviously. But in the meantime, you'll find us right here, hopelessly stuck in the 80s.
Stuck in the 80s is a member of the CLNS Media Network. Special thanks to Check Battery Daily for our theme music. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, or the CLNS Media mobile app.